All right, what is up, everybody? Shadow Scout 0013 here, coming in with a beginner's video. So if you are very new to Legion or thinking about getting into Legion, especially Empire, this is going to be the video for you because Voidwalker and I are going to walk you through the Empire faction and kind of the things that make it special, as well as kind of like the things to look out for, and even just no, kind of like a few combos and stuff as well. We'll talk about the battle forces. We're going to talk about what type of players might enjoy this particularly. So if you are interested, head on over first off to the Discord. And here you can ask any questions, especially in Empire. Like if you've got a list that you're trying to work out, or maybe you're interested in Empire and you've got a certain amount of units to work with, you can let us know. And a lot of us in the Discord will try to help you out to make that list. And yeah, it's a great resource in case you're interested as well. You know, if you play Rebel, CIS, GAR, Shadow Collective, or if you're going to collect all of them, this is a great place to go. If you are looking to get into painting some stuff, you can post what you're painting, what you're doing. You can, if you've got questions on maybe what to use, there are people who know a lot more about painting than I do. I am, as you'll see, not one who really cares to paint very much. Although I did paint the way I did paint my Republic minis, well, my clones, the exact same, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, you're welcome to join and talk about that. And for giveaways, if you are interested in getting more bonus points or entries in to win the giveaways, all you have to do is just type and interact in the Discord, and your server level will go up. And when the giveaway starts, so basically this last one was May 1st, what I do is I just go and I put your names down. Every time that you're in here, you get an entry. So this kind of helps you to win. And then we do have leagues every now and then. At some point, we're probably going to do a campaign that if you're interested in, you can play on DTS. So yeah, head on over to the Discord and check that out. Also, if you want to head on over to the Patreon, this is a great way to help support the channel and to get videos early. So this is a great way to help get more entries in to win as well for the giveaways. And also just be a subscriber and leave a comment. All right, guys, and I'll go ahead and get to the video. Thanks for watching the intro. All right, what is up, everybody? Shadow Scout 0013 here, coming in with Voidwalker from the Discord.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you guys are.
Yeah, and today we're going to talk about the profiles for the factions. And when I mean profiles, we're going to talk about the hobby aspect, the competitive aspect, and just the overall synergy, liking it, and just like what you find that you love to play in each faction. So I will go ahead and let you take it over.
All right, so hello, everyone. I'm Voice Walker here again. Briefly about me, I've been playing Legion for about a year. I played briefly before the big 2.6 update, and I done my fair share of the competitive scene. And I figured that for today, I and Shadow Scout we will do something like the introductory video for the new players that will be coming as the new starter packs or the recon packs are on their way. So we figure we'll get ahead of the curve on this one. And pretty much in this video, as Shadow Scout mentioned, we're gonna talk about each faction, and then we're gonna talk about the three psychological profiles that were created or so let's say founded in 2013, and these profiles are named Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. And these profiles pretty much serve to identify you as what kind of player you are, either in a tabletop game, in pretty much anything. And very important to note, every player here, like me, like Shell Scout, we all of us have these three profiles inside us. They're always there, but we sometimes have a preference, or we lean towards one, we lean towards two, and these profiles are not stable. Things change over the years or a specified period of time. So let's briefly explain each profile, and then we're gonna find these profiles in the Star Wars Legion factions, and we will hopefully help you try to determine which faction is for you. If you are probably a new player, or if you are probably a player who's coming over from a different tabletop game, or if you are just a Star Wars nerd who likes to play, this series of videos will be for you. All right, so let's get started. So Timmy, first profile is Timmy. Timmy is the experience-based player here. Timmy wants to experience something big, something unique, something splashy. Timmy cares very much about just about the game itself. He doesn't really care about like the deeper mechanics or like the specific tweaks or synergies. He's the player who just wants to experience the game. This is also something that carries over to the Timmy's let's say competitiveness. Timmy is that kind of player who likes to play, but also likes to have other players to have good time with him. It's like, hey, I get to do my flashy stuff. You, my opponent, you get to do the same. And if I win, I win, and if I lose, I lose. That's fine, as long as we both each of us got to do our thing. And for Timmy, it's pretty much he doesn't like debuffs, hard counters, and he likes the hobby part. Jimmy likes as I said at the beginning, he really likes the experience. And in regards to the randomness or difficulty, as I mentioned previously, Timmy doesn't really like the difficulty, but he enjoys randomness, some sort of a randomness in a game, but there has to be a payoff. Because if Timmy doesn't get to enjoy the thing he wanted to do, he's gonna suffer. So yeah, he's the experienced player. The next guy or the next profile on the chopping on here is Johnny. Johnny is the self-expression player. While it would be easy to say that Johnny is like the person in between Spike and Timmy, I wouldn't necessarily say so. He's the expression player who likes to turn the knobs, figure out the synergies. He loves rules. He loves list building. One of the great things about being a Johnny is that sometimes for you, just building your own unique list is the win within itself. And if you lose the game or you win the game, that's all right, because you already kind of mentally won by making this unique list in your mind. For example, or John is also the kind of player who would play like a meme list, so something definitely out there, something that no one really anticipates. For example, he would be kind of player who would play a Bright Tree Village for Rebels, but would not bring any Ewoks. That list is possible. I don't know if it's good competitively or not, but it's definitely a list you can do. Johnny, in this regard, very much likes the puzzle solving aspects. He enjoys the randomness, but he also wants to be in charge of the control. He wants to make sure that he can influence the outcome some kind, and just overall wants to have fun in the game. He's kind of in between the in this regard, he's bit in between the Timmy and Spike, that he enjoys the competitive play. He enjoys the hobby part. He very much enjoys the list building, but he isn't very much. His competitive is take it or leave it, pretty much. So Johnny is the self-expression profile that you have. And then we have the Spike, which probably you guys figured where this is going. Spike is the competitive player or the competitive part of you. And assembling, painting, hobbying isn't really priority for him, and neither is the respect for the opponent. He's the actually kind of person when it comes to like rules. He enjoys things like doing maths on like the best optimal way to like play the game. How are your dice rolls? What are the statistics if you use the aim token on the offensive dice or use the dodge on your defensive dice? What are your probability statistics? And then and very interesting about Spike compared to the other two profiles, that Spike approaches the game as it is, but Timmy and Johnny approach the game as they wish it to be. So Spike just pretty much takes the stock of everything that's present and is just going to, all right, let's build the meta list, or let's build the strongest possible list, and let's be the guy who wins the LVO or the Adepticon. Very interesting. As I mentioned, the meta. Jimmy is the meta player, a meta list player, but he doesn't like simplicity. He doesn't like anything that diminishes perceived skill. He believes that victory should be earned. For example, if Spike wins like 9 out of 10 games but loses one, he's absolutely fine with that if the opponent beat him fair and square, because in the real world, it's just like, my opponent got better, so next time when I play him again, I will be the better player. I'll have the better skill. I'll be better. I'll beat him, and I'll have my 10 out of 10 games, even though, time wise that's an insanity, but it's an example. Also, however, as I said about the meta lists, Spike will play the simple meta list. He will hate every minute of it playing it, but since it's meta and Spike wants to win, he will play the meta list. And also, I would say very important is that also, once we go into the every faction that we have here, the Empire, Rebels, Separatists, Clones, and Shadow Collective, each faction has some sort of an appeal to this specific psychological profile in you. And as I said previously, these profiles aren't set in stone. As you grow, as your tastes change, so will your leaning towards one or more or the others. And yeah, as we dive into the Empire, there is one more thing I need to say, is that every faction, at least for Star Wars, based on everything I looked, has a Timmy aspect of it. For example, Empire has its big stuff, like you have a Darth Vader, you have the ATSTs, you have stormtroopers, like all these recognizable entities. So Timmy is pretty much very much enjoys it. For Rebels example, there is the entire hero pantheon, and Timmy will enjoy it very much. Who doesn't want to play as Luke or Leia or Lando or Han Solo or Chewbacca even? And yeah, so every faction has Jimmy, but he's not always the dominant psychological profile here. All right, so hoping that I explained this, let's dive into the Empire. Shadow Scout, what do you think what is like one or two dominant profiles in the Empire? What's your opinion?
Well,
What do
actually,
you
I was.
think?
Let me see if we can go over some examples real quick. So what kind of profile would a? I really like the hobby. I like the painting. I like the building. I like the being able to configure the models how I want, and maybe just casually play.
Well, you would definitely be the mix of, or more of a leaning more towards to the Johnny Timmy
Okay.
profiles. Yeah, since you like to play casually, you don't chase metas, so the spike isn't really there as dominant, but you like to play, casually, competitively, so there's a little bit of him inside you, but there is no like a significant leaning of him. So I would say definitely Timmy Johnny, you have the push there. And I would say that Empire actually has the Timmy Johnny as their primary psychological profiles, as players who would flock to this faction, would be of have a preference in this. For example, I myself am a kind of a blend of Timmy and Johnny. I love I love the big game, I love the big stuff. This is one of my favorite models, the ATST right here. But I also enjoy the list building, and I try to have fun at a table. It's not always easy to have fun, but we can only try. The Timmys of the world can try.
And then what would you say is I don't like the hobby aspect. I hate painting. I hate having to put these things together. I really want to make a list that I can do really well at and make sure that I at least win a few. I don't have to win them all because I know that I might not be the most experienced, but I just want to get the models on the table that I really like, and I just want to play a really good list. What would that profile be?
So, that's a good question. I think you would be a blend of all three, kind of. But let's say so. You don't really want a hobby, but you wanna the list built, and you wanna uh, put the models on the table. That makes you a Johnny because you wanna figure out what's the best way, how to synergize your units, what command cards can work with which unit you want to activate first that round. But you also want to play competitively, so Spike is there too. Yes, I would say you are like a Johnny Spike
Okay.
individual with a bit of a Timmy inside you waiting.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, even myself, I never really care to have to put these things together and paint. I do because you have to. And then I paint them how I want because, I'm going to have them on the table and they're going to be mine. And for the clones, I went with a specific theme, which I really enjoyed. Empire, I just kind of was all over the place because that was the very first faction I ever got. So I kind of went, camo stormtroopers and then blue striped stormtroopers, kind of like a 501st, and then ones with red on them, kind of like the Coruscant Guard, and then white ones, and then I did like shadow scouts, and then I also did like dark green camo-y kind of scouts. So all over the place, not uniform like the clones, and I like the fact that I did the clones definitely uniform. And then the Shadow Collective I had commissioned, and so all three boxes that I have right now are all specific. All of them look the exact same as well, so they're uniform, but they're in a much higher tier than mine because I also didn't want to have to put those things together. But so, and then I like making some really fun lists and some really good lists. I'm not really caring about 12 or 15 activation lists because I kind of want something that kind of synergizes a little bit more rather than just numbers. And so I know I've got a huge mixture. I'm definitely it's no Timmy, no hobby aspect of it, but I'm a little bit more, I guess, Johnny Spike. And do you know what you are? I guess for
Say I'm
viewers.
definitely yeah. I would say I'm definitely the Timmy Johnny. There is a bit of a spike in me. I enjoy some competitive play, but I enjoy much more the hobby aspect and the list building part. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know with Empire, if you're brand new, you're going to be getting you're probably going to want to get the Galactic Empire starter set, which includes two boxes basically of stormtroopers, two boxes of scout troopers, and Vader. So there's not going to be much in hobby with just the starter set, but it will get you a pretty decent start in the Empire because I know that each faction is going to have its own unique units that come in the starter box. So for the Empire, with the starter set particularly, would you say that that's going to be a predominantly Timmy Johnny and not a Spike? Do you think it's going to be a Johnny Spike? Or do you think that people are actually going to want a hobby with them and then maybe get because when we do when the I guess the starter sets come out, they're going to come out with the Galactic Civil War starter sets and then the Clone War starter sets, along with the customizable agents and officers, and the Jedi Knight and all that stuff is going to come later. But at least, with Empire and Rebels, they're going to be able to get quite a bit in the very beginning. So there is a nice hobby aspect to that coming on. But back to focusing on Empire specifically, you were trying to mention that Empire is not necessarily the most competitive at this exact moment in time until probably a little bit later on in I forgot what exactly what
I think I th-
quarter?
I think it's a Q4. I think it's a Q4 of this year. Empire will be getting some reinforcements. But overall, I would say the way to get into the Empire is that if you are the new player who's waiting for the starter sets, I would say that definitely buy them. And then if you want to expand and you also enjoy the hobby aspect, try to track down the Blizzard Force box. Yes, you will end up with two Darth Vaders, but they will come in their own unique poses. Or I believe the Darth Vader in the starter set will be much more posable, because that's what the AMG has been pushing on with all these re-releases of the old kits. But the reason why I'm mentioning the old, in heavy quotation marks, Blizzard Force set is that you get an ATST, you get your speeder bikes, you get snow troopers, and there is the Darth Vader. Is there something else I'm missing in the starter set, or I think no, the
I think
Blizzard
in the
box? Yeah,
Blizzard box, yeah, that's about it. I think that the
yeah,
Blizzard box and the starter set, getting both of those is going to be a very good start for Empire. Because again, you've got your snow troopers, you've got your scout troopers now, you've got your bikes, you've got your stormtroopers, you've got your ATST, and you've got Vader. So you can do quite a bit with them. And then you'll have two different types of Vaders. So if you did want to play like Commander Vader, you've got a Commander Vader, and if you did want to play Operative Vader, you don't have to go out and buy Operative Vader. You can use you can use any of the Vaders technically, if I am not mistaken. So you would at least have two distinct models if you wanted to do that. So there's a really good amount of compatibility between both boxes, and the fact that you're not really getting anything that's the same. So if you got both of those boxes, you're good. Unlike
yeah.
CIS, where if you get the Separatist Invasion Force and you get the starter set, you're basically getting a bajillion B1s, and you get some B2s in the starter set, but um, you're going to get Grievous twice, and you're going to get some at least Droidicas. So you can make a really good Separatist Invasion Force at least with that. But you're going to want a lot more other boxes. But Empire, it's a good value to get both boxes to begin with.
Yeah, yeah. And with the Empire, you kind of hinted on that. For new players who will be watching this video and trying to figure out what's the Empire like, you see what's on the tin. You see there are stormtroopers. You see Darth Vader. You see scout troopers on the Blizzard box. You see an ATST. You see your speeders, your snows, and you wonder, all right, what can I do with all these units once I build them, paint them, or just build them and put them on the table? What can I do? So I would say definitely the defining trait of the Empire is like it's the standard army, rules wise, and both in the gameplay, let's say, and in regards to the list building, because you have your standard troopers, you have your stormtroopers, your shore troopers, your recently released riot squad, you have your mortar, and then your allies, the, well, mercenaries, the both pikes and black suns. So you have your solid, your like core unit, which you can get from both starter sets. You get your both stormtroopers and snow troopers, which are both very good units. Then with your special forces category, you get your scouts from the starter set, from the starter set, and you can also find different units over the internet. But the thing about Empire with all these, I want to say, categories, is that you need to figure out the synergy, how these individual units will work together. So, you have your scout troopers throwing down smoke grenades while your stormtroopers advance and, try to hit with the precise one. Or, you have your vehicle heavy. Your vehicle heavy, you can bring two ATSTs, and if you play the Tempest Force, which is one of the things we will touch upon soon with the Emperor, you can bring three of these suckers, and they are glorious to pilot, and it's gonna take a lot from the opponent to figure out how to play against them. But yeah, Empire is your standard military. You get your generals to lead them. You have Veers, you have Director. We have soon to have the Admiral Thrawn or the Moffs. We have a Moff Gideon from Mandalorian. Then you have one of the best things about the Empire, I must say, is the list of the bounty hunters they have available. That's something I would say very underrated about Empire. And with Agent Callus going over from commander to operative on the rules, I think we'll be seeing more operatives being played, hopefully. But with the Empire, as I mentioned, well, the operatives and bounty hunters, you get your icons like uh, who is their boss. You get both of your IG units. You get now Agent Callus as an operative. Who else is there? We have a quite a list of bounty hunters there
Yeah,
too.
so you'll have with Empire. I think that bounty hunters and suppression are the main kind of like identity. You're laying down as much suppression, which can negate actions from your opponent. So, like if you don't want your so action economy is a huge thing. You've got 5 rounds to play the game. Each unit gets 2 actions, and so you're building a list probably between 10 and even up to 13 activations probably in Empire. Usually it's falling around 11, maybe 12. But suppression is a huge thing that the Blizzard Force, that the regular Empire likes bringing to the table. So if you like trying to negate your opponent from doing a lot of stuff and be suppressed where they can't do many actions, and even panicking a unit, because you can panic a unit if they have a lot of suppression. Basically, like if we just take a look real quick at, let's just do a random person. So Cad Bane, this is the courage value, and he's got a courage value of 3. So he can have 3 suppression and then get 1 action. If he had 6 suppression, which is double this, he gets no actions that round. And so being able to suppress even units in other factions with high courage value is really, really good. And so Empire can do a really great job of suppressing, since they've got, I think, some of the most amount of units to bring that can suppress. And the other big thing about Empire is their mercenary faction and their operatives and the bounty hunters that you can bring. So if we just, take a look real quick, you've got Boba Fett, Boss, Cad Bane, Din Djarin, eventually Honda Onaka, IG-11, IG-88, and they're all different bounty hunters that you can bring. You can also bring the Black Sun and Pike foot soldiers as mercenaries. You can also bring the Capo and the Vigo, which are mercenaries, and you can also, I think that's actually it mercenary-wise for the Empire. But they've got quite a bit that you can bring. And being able to play some of these iconic characters in the game, especially for Empire, is huge and a lot of fun. And so if you like playing these bounty hunters, then you're going to have a great time. And another thing with the bounty hunters is they have a keyword called bounty. And with that, if you can place a bounty on your opponent's commander or operative, you pick a unit, and if your bounty hunter takes out that unit, you gain the bounty, which gives you a point, scoring a victory point, basically. So it kind of helps you to be able to even win that game if you're tied or if you're kind of behind the primary objective or secondary objective, and you score the bounty, that can put you ahead. So there's lots of ways to at least build an Empire list with that. So that is kind of like a big thing that Empire is all about.
Something also very interesting about the Empire is that Empire currently has the most battle forces out of all the other faction. Empire has 3 battle forces. They have what is a battle force? First of all, battle force is a special way to play a faction. There are certain rule building restrictions, like for example, in the Blizzard Force, you cannot bring sharpshooters because sharpshooters did not fought at Battle of Hoth, for example. And you get your your list building will be slightly limited, but you get some interesting points or let's say synergies or even battle force specific abilities in return. And the cool thing about Empire's Mansion, there are three battle forces. So you have your Blizzard Force, which is also funny enough the name of the box, and that's your Snow Troopers, your Battle of Hoth, Vader arriving to fight on the Hoth, to find Luke, all that stuff from the Empire Strikes Back. You can also see that quick side tangent. All these battle forces, they were kind of released in tandem. So we have the Blizzard Force for the Empire, and we have the Echo Base Defenders for the Rebels. Then we have the for quickly jumping to the other faction. We have the I believe it's the Separatist Invasion, and we have the I'm forgetting which
501st.
battle. Yes, 501st. Yes, so you have like these different battle force boxes were released and of course the iconic one, the Bright Tree Village with Ewoks for Rebels, and the Tempest
Tempest.
Force for Empire. Yeah. So there are, and Empire also gets the third one, which is called the Remnant. The Remnant is inspired by the Mandalorian show, where the Empire is in, a remnant, and they get some very interesting uh, uh, battle force abilities to play with. For example, if you are away from your unit, your commander, your trooper units, they get either aim or dodge tokens, so you can figure out where. No, I think it's everyone gets the aims or dodge tokens if they're
Yes.
outside of the range commander. Yeah. So
Yeah, if
so that's
you're
something unique to consider. Yeah.
yeah, if you're
If you
outside
play
of
the
range
Tempest,
2, yeah, you get a free aim and dodge, and it's a lot of fun. Independent is really good.
yeah. Yeah, recently what I played with the Tempest Force, this guy in Tempest Force, all the vehicles and all the, of course you get limited to the, because on the end door at that time for your list building there were only ATST, speeder bikes, scouts, stormtroopers, and the Imperial officer, but we'll talk about her later. But interesting aspect here is that both the ATSTs and your speeder bikes, they get a scout to movement, which means they get a free move action onto the board and then can start raining hell, which is a great perk to have if you're playing this specific battle force. And you get in this battle force, you also get the, I believe it's the unique vehicle commander Mark One, and which means you can only bring him in this battle force. You cannot bring him into your regular army building, but he counts as an ATSD, and he's very good. Yes.
Definitely really good. So basically, with different battle forces as well, you get unique cards in some instances. Like we were just talking about, like Marquand is an ATST, but his profile is different than a normal ATST. There are no upgrades to bring on him, but he's got a plethora of keywords on his card that you can see here right now. So, like, he's got Armor 5, Arsenal 2, he's got Direct Vehicle, and he's a field commander. And then you can see he's got normal weapons on here already. The normal ATST is just Armor 5, Arsenal 2, and, got a weak point, and only two weapons right here, like a melee profile and a weapons. But you can also upgrade them with different weapons as well. So, like, you can do the Twin Light Blaster, which is like the impact and like a rainbow. You could do like a mortar launcher, which is like a long range and suppressive. And you can also do like a concussion grenade, which is also blast, so no one gets cover. And it's like only two black. So you can kind of change up the profile in some of them. Like this is a special issue Tempest Force. Now for like Blizzard per se. With Blizzard Force, you've got special stormtroopers. So stormtroopers that are issued for the Blizzard Force are precise and unhindered, which means that you can ignore difficult terrain for the most part. And when you do that, you can do two different heavies. So, like a normal stormtrooper unit is going to only have a heavy and a well, yeah. So a normal stormtrooper unit,
Personnel. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
heavy and a personnel. Now with the stormtroopers heavy response units, the HRUs, you can bring two different heavies, so you'll have a better like range profile with them. And then the snowtroopers, they're really good. They've got a keyword called steady, which after you make a move, you can make a free attack action. So you're actually doing much better with action economy when you've got something like this, being able to make free actions with that. And then they've got like a flamethrower. That's also blast and spray. So like blast again, no cover, and spray means you're using this single black dice for every miniature in the unit. In some units, you can do a entire squad. So you're bringing an extra 5 on top of your 4, so that's like 9. So some units, if you're going to be bringing a flame trooper, you could be throwing like 10 dice or so. And then the Ion has a bunch of stuff that you can do with it as well with the snow troopers. And then scout troopers have a low profile and scout onto the board, which is very important because they can get into position early. And then sharpshooter 1 negates cover in from light cover down to no cover, and from heavy cover down to light cover. And then they're throwing 2 different dice each at range 1 to 2. So they've got a really decent profile. And with scouts, you can bring snipers, or you can bring little bomb saboteur guys. The speeder bikes, they're speed 3, so they can do a lot of fast, speedy moves, and they've got a big base compared to stormtroopers or scout troopers that they can move really fast, and then they've got their own weapon profile for each mini. So you've got 2 in the unit, and so you'd be rolling a single rainbow twice in once. So it'd be 2 reds, 2 whites, 2 blacks, basically in that one dice pool. Or you can choose to use the second profile if you wanted to. So they're very fast, and each thing has their own unique thing that they bring to the table. And like we were saying earlier, suppression is a huge thing. And you've got Darth Vader, which is probably the one of the best
Strongest.
units.
Yeah.
Yeah, strongest, I would say, for sure. For the mere fact that he's got 8 health and he can never be suppressed, and he can share that that an infinite courage value up to range of 18 inches. So that's really incredible for him. And then with Relentless, you can make a free attack action melee or ranged if you've got saber throw on him, which is great, especially since he's kind of slow with the speed 1. He's walking. He's not cruising along very fast, but he's walking like a Freddy or something like that. And he can compel core troopers. So if anyone does have suppression, he can basically give them a free move action. So that way they can still get 2 actions total during their activation if they're suppressed. And they'll never panic, which is really great for scoring purposes. So he's very, very strong. So if you're looking for a really good overall, like, suppressive faction, I think that this is that kind of faction.
Yeah, very cool also about this Empire faction is that it is currently the only faction in the game that gets 2 types of vehicle transport. It gets both the patrol ship that is shared with the clones, and it also gets the Graf occupier tank. That's how it's called. First seen
The
in
Gav,
the
yeah.
Rogue One. Yeah, the Gav. So the Empire has also 2 unique transports that you can pull up. Patrol ship is really fast. You can take a specific upgrade that makes it, I think, the fastest transport vehicle in the game, which makes it a speed 3, which is insane. And you can drop off your stormtroopers or your riot guard or your scouts pretty much almost quarter way to the objective, pretty much. And while its shooting profile isn't really as good, you are taking for the speed, and you can pretty much reach objectives across the map in a turn or two. They are lethally fast, and then you have the Grafting. Grafting is more like your IF3, like the infantry support vehicle. It only moves by a speed 1, but has much better weapon profile, and you can Just have it with your stormtroopers, have it with your scouts, shore troopers, wherever you want it, and it's just gonna be there. It's gonna support your units. So you have like these great synergies you can figure out with the Empire, and that's kind of like the defining faction trait of this faction is, apart from the suppression and the oppression play, is that you have a great potential for the synergies between different units, like the real military. You have your armored cavalry that supports the infantry, you have your reconnaissance, you have your tanks, aircraft, pretty much all working together to defeat the enemy. And I think that's what Empire excels at. Something I will also touch upon with regards to the commander, regarding the leaders of the empire. You pretty much get your flavor of your evil wizards, Darth Vader, and it used to be Palpatine until a few weeks ago, so he did not came back, but he will be missed and remembered. And or you can get your generals, as I mentioned previously. You get your General Veers, you get the Director Krennic from the Rogue One, and now the Endor season 2. I think he made a reappearance,
Yep.
if I'm correct. Yeah, and then you also have a very unique hero from the EA Battlefront 2 game. You have the Iden commander, who can also become an operative if needed, and you also get no, not anymore.
Yeah, no, she's just a straight commander now, which is
Oh,
really
she's a
good.
straight commander.
Yeah, because with
Yeah.
with Iden, she's got a courage 3 value, so you're going to be able to share that courage 3 with the entire army, which is really really good. And then she's got the infiltrate, so she can just kind of like go anywhere in the deployment zone, which is really good. And you can bring her with the Inferno Squad, where you're going to be able to bring Del Mico and Gideon Hask and kind of make that Battle 2 thematic aspect of it. And then you can bring Imperial Special Forces, which are basically the TIE pilots. And so you'd be able to bring them with them. And then you've got, your Imperial Death Troopers that are part of the army. And then the biggest other thing that we also didn't mention, besides your Agent Callus, like you were mentioning, is the fifth brother and the seventh sister. So if you're thinking about bringing Inquisitors and you're trying to go Jedi hunting, you've got the ability to bring the fifth brother, the seventh sister, and you can also bring them together with Agent Callus, or with Darth Vader operative. So you can have 3 operatives in this because of the keyword the associate fifth brother. So as long as you bring the fifth brother and you then bring the seventh sister, she's not going to count towards the max that you have to have, because you can only bring 2 operatives. But when you bring the fifth brother, you can bring the seventh sister basically for free. So you've got some Inquisitors and more evil Jedi, kind of Sith. Obviously, well, they're not Sith. They're just kind of like hunters, Jedi hunters in a way. But yeah, there's lots of good operatives for Empire to bring.
And I would say, lastly, in regards to the heavy or the vehicles, with the release of The Mandalorian, you also get to play with the Imperial Dark Troopers, who are the murder robots who Moff Gideon bosses around. Yeah, Moff Gideon actually has a keyword, I believe it's the Entourage, that allows him to bring an extra Imperial Dark Trooper squad for the purposes of the list building. And these guys are just murder droid troopers who will march through the fire and flame and do not flinch. And I believe it's the only unit in the game who gets to activate twice. I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, so they can activate twice because they're going to be so expensive, and that's really good. Also, I think actually Empire is the only one with Entourage. No. I guess you have CIS, you have Grievous that has Entourage,
Yeah.
but for the most part, you've got Moff Gideon with Entourage. So if you can only bring 2 heavies technically, but with the Entourage, you ignore that limit and can bring 1 extra. So technically, you can have 3 Imperial Dark Troopers and bring like a Myrtleizer Dark Trooper, a frag grenade launcher Death Trooper, or an assault cannon looking Death Trooper. and definitely
Yeah,
throw around some dice.
yeah, and the guy with the humongous sword, because why not?
Right? Yeah, that Myrtleizer. And then
Yes.
Director Krennic also has Entourage, so you can bring an extra set of Death Troopers if you wanted to with Krennic. And with Entourage, you basically give out a free order as well. So that's really nice to be able to give out that free order. That way, you don't have to spend your command cards giving those orders out to the ones that you have Entourage with. And I mean, I usually speak of like command cards and other stuff whenever I break down units, but command cards are basically the different commanders and operatives have a certain amount of command cards that you can bring, and you can only bring two 1 pips, two pips, and two 3 pips, and then you have a 4 pip that you will naturally have that you'll always be able to bring. So you'll have 7 cards in your hand whenever you play any faction. But yeah, again, I think Empire is a very suppressive, oppressive, bounty hunter heavy faction.
What would you say is your favorite command card on the Empire?
Oh, that's tough. Um, I guess it depends on who you're bringing. You know, like with Vader, he's got a command card that allows you to kind of go twice, which is really nice. And I like Iden because she's definitely a lot of fun to play, especially in Battlefront. And Den has a card that lets him attack twice. So does Bosk, Cad Bane as well. So any command card that allows a unit to attack more than once is kind of like my favorite. If I play Shadow Collective, which we'll get into in another video, I love playing Maul, Darth Maul, because he's also got a command card that allows him to soak up a lot of tokens. So his 3 pip basically, which allows it gives him tokens to begin with, and then if any unit around him spends tokens that are at range 6 inches of him, basically, which is range 1, then he can take those tokens and use them for himself or anyone else in your list, which is really fun. So I really enjoy in those. What about yours? What are kind of like your favorite?
Definitely, I must say with the director Krennic, the Annihilation Looms card is just so thematic, and I just love it. The Annihilation Looms command card is a very good strategic card that hands out suppression to every unit in a game, both friendly and enemy unit. That's very important. And the number of suppression it hands out depends on the round. So if you play it early in the round, each unit gets 2 suppressions. But if you play it in around 4 and 5, each unit gets 3 suppressions, which makes for a very interesting objective plays. And also, when it comes to the scoring, there is a very specific mission. There is a very specific secondary objective in the game called Bring Them to Heal, where you can score victory points based on if you panic a unit or you give every enemy unit a suppression. So you can pretty much play this card if you're playing this objective, and I would say easily score your points on this secondary mission. But you also need to be very important because when the unit panics, it cannot secure an objective, and therefore you don't get the points from your primary mission. So it's a very situational but very powerful card. I enjoyed very much. I would definitely also say I would say kind of an underrated card for Major Marquardt. It's the actually no, it's the no, it's not for Marquardt, but it's in the Tempest. It's called the Armored Cavalry, and it pretty much allows the vehicles that are in a specific arc of your commander, it gets certain little bonuses. So if your vehicle, for example, is in the or vehicle or the speeder in this case is in the rear, you get a free movement 1 action. If it's, I believe, in a side, you get an aim token, and if it's in the frontal arc, you get a dodge token. So it's a great support card to keep your vehicles alive. And my third card, I would definitely say is the interesting. It's a good question. I like. Speaking of Aiden, I like her card that gives a tactical to all the special forces, which I'm forgetting what's the name of it. What's the name of the card? It's like it's not a pulse scan.
Yeah, for Iden, her 3 pip tactical strike.
Yeah, tactical strike. Yes. So since scout movement counts as a movement action, your scout troopers get an aim token, which is very good to have. So yeah, so I would say these three are my current favorites right now. But the Annihilation Looms is my favorite right now. It's like it's great.
Yeah. Well, that is a lot of Empire talk. I
Yeah.
think we've pretty much hit it. Like if you enjoy shore troopers, storm troopers, snow troopers, scout troopers, death troopers, if range troopers from Solo, if there's a lot that Empire has to offer, um, that you're able to bring and build. And if you go to Tabletop Admiral, you it shows you at the very bottom, kind of like how many of each you can bring and a minimum. So like you have to whenever you're list building. So I mean we can talk a second really quick about just list building in general. So when you're list building, you have to bring one commander, and you have to bring 3 core. Other than that, you don't have to bring an operative, you don't have to bring a special forces or support or a heavy, but you're welcome to. But you must always start out with a commander and 3 core. Now, if you're playing recon, which if you get a starter box or yeah, if you basically get a starter box, it's only 600 points that you're going to need to bring, and you only need to bring I think 2 core and 1 commander. But if you're gonna get like the Blizzard box and the starter box, you're gonna have a 1,000 point army, which is the max points that you can bring in a list. And there's quite a bit that you can bring in a 1,000 point list. I mean, just for the fun of it, there's some Vader Dark Trooper lists out there that I think are a lot of fun, and that's 10 activations. But when you've got Dark Troopers, again, you get to use them twice. So technically, you'd have 12 activations in this one. Yeah, there's some things have kind of changed, but there are a lot of ways to build a list. And if you ever need help, you can always head to the Discord and or watch my videos to get some extra help.
Yeah, yeah. So with all this that we just said, what we are trying to convey here is that Empire is a Timmy and Johnny faction through and through. Timmy likes this faction because you have all the cool stuff. You got your ATST Zero Vaders, and Johnny likes to read the rules. He likes to figure it out what works best for everything. And Spike will find some enjoyment. There is definitely a meta list to be created or to be made. We don't know what it is yet for the Empire, but someone will figure it out. But yeah, so this is definitely the Timmy Johnny army, and I'm a diehard Empire player, and Empire was my first faction as well, and so for now it will be the only faction, and this is the reason why I play Empire. These guys are scary and lethal, and my opponent has to make strategic choices to see if he's gonna engage this unit or he's just gonna keep it running around the battlefield causing mayhem. So yes.
Yeah, and Iden and Vader and Den are kind of like my go tos. I like playing them a lot. Um, they have a lot of stuff to contribute. Like Iden, in her guns, she can go between snipers or close range, and then Den. He's very fast. He's a Mando. He can do an extra attack. He's a bounty hunter, and then Vader is just strong. And so I absolutely love. Those are my top 3 units. I don't know if you've got top 3. I know you said ATST for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, let's do it like this. Let's talk heroes. My top 3 heroes, definitely that I love, are Vader, obviously. Then I would say something else. I would say definitely it's the General Veers. I played a lot with General Veers in pretty much in both of the competitive tournaments I went to, both the Crucible here in Florida, and then the LVO Las Vegas. The Veers was by my side through all the hell and all the competitive, and I just love the guy. You know, he works well with the vehicles. He can provide them with the guidance, which gives them an action. I used it mostly for moving the ATSD forward, so it kind of like attracts the heat, and with the armor 5, it can shrug off the damage, and then I can get it easier on the objectives. And Veers is just like your solid building support general who just will make your army work. And I would say my third commander, I would definitely say it's the Palpatine was a quite a big fan, but unironically, I really enjoyed the generic Imperial officer who is currently not playable right now, but he or she will be back in Q4, I believe, of this year with its own unique pack and like quite a few customizable options. But I do really like her because she's like your if you, for example, plan to run a double bounty hunter list, you can pretty much just take this generic officer. Every faction gets their generic officer, so you can take her, and then you can just focus on the command cards and the list building of your bounty hunter. So I had the list before Imperial Officer went away, where I bought both IG units because they came in the same box. So I just built them both and put them into the list. So I pretty much have a great opportunity to build my command cards with the cards that the IG units come with. So I get to give them their permanents. I can give the IG-11 the gunslinger. Yes, I think yeah he has it has a gunslinger, and just she's like that great like list building. Like if you just want to have your generic officer and like put your love elsewhere in the list, uh, she, well, I'm calling she because it's a female model on both as a current mini and on her command card. So she's that little cornerstone that you can bring in your Imperial army and have put your focus elsewhere. That's what I'm trying to say. Interesting thing with the command cards for the new players, if your hero or operative dies, you are no longer able to use the command cards of that specific hero. That's also something very important to consider. If you have, let's say, a Vader and let's say Bosk, if you lose Bosk, you cannot use Bosk's cards anymore. You can only use the Vader's cards or the generic command cards that are available to every faction. So you also be mindful of that. Because once they go, and there is nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that practically covers Empire. So if you've ever got any other questions, you're welcome to comment down below. You're welcome to head on over to the Discord that we're in now. The Discord offers quite a lot. If you've got questions on list building or questions on individual units, you're always welcome to ask us. I don't know if you've got any final remarks about new players at all.
Definitely. Something very good about this game in general is that this game is expensive, but it's relatively cheap compared to other tabletop options out there, and specifically with the Battle Force boxes, and even the starter set. I think we're gonna talk. We can briefly touch on the starter set because there is the old starter set, which is pretty much Empire Rebels and Clones and Separatists. And it's pretty much also one of the ways you can get in with your friend. You split the old starter set. I don't know how much was it, like $100 or like $90. Do you vaguely remember? But you
I
can
don't
pretty much
remember.
split with your yeah. But you can pretty much split with your friend. You get to play the Empire. Your friend gets to play Rebels. I think you have enough for 500 points. I'm not exactly sure, but you have also the starter sets available. But but what I wanted to say is that this is definitely the cheaper hobby here, but it's still you can sink a lot of money and a lot of time into it. So I don't want to say buyers beware, but buyers beware.
Right? At least it is cheaper than Warhammer.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, as someone who plays skill team, oh no, it's too expensive, sir. Too expensive. Yes.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. That kind of wraps it up. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Voidwalker, for coming in and kind of explaining a little bit of the profiles. Definitely, Spike will make it to Empire probably soon, especially when the Imperial customizable officers come in, and especially Moff Gideon and Tarkin. Or sorry, yeah, Moff Tarkin and Thrawn. They'll make it in, and it'll be a lot more fun. But if you like the hobby aspect and you kind of like creating some fun lists with bounty hunters and some suppressive functions, this is going to be your list or your faction. But all right, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you, Voidwalker, and yeah, thanks, guys. We will see you
Well,
in. No, go ahead.
yeah, this is going to be a little series that we have in mind for new players to learn more about this game. We might do like we'll actually showcase the gameplay, but these little series of the videos will be more like talking like basics, talking about the factions. We're gonna showcase the tabletop admiral because once you get your units, you're gonna want to build the list. But we're going to build the list, so we're going to touch up on all these things. And we hope this will be informative for you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we got our work cut out for us.
Definitely. Well, all right, guys, y'all take it easy, and thanks for watching. Come and watch the next ones.